my weekly scary stories that I post on subreddits to include r/scary stories and r/wholesome no sleep, had caught the attention of a moderator on the Discord app group Only the Best Writers, where a collaboration of other writers were also invited to work together and discuss current reader trends. There were 10 other horror writers who were selected for an exclusive Discord group, where each writer had a maximum of 100,000 Reddit post karma points from the various stories that they had posted and had at least 500 Reddit followers. The moderator, who went by the username u/Medusa, was a really nice woman who went out of her way to make sure everyone was properly introduced to the group and felt welcomed. Being that we're all writers, it didn't take long for us to start typing away and finding additional information from each other. All of the writers in the group are from the United States, and our occupations vary from being professional writers to construction workers, where there are a mix of 5 women and 5 men. User Medusa was proactive in the group, where she created icebreaker activities where we even learned more about each other, like our other occupations, ages, and even where each other lived. Though we were all talented writers, we all felt like individual islands prior to joining the Discord, and now there was a sense of community within the group. As the weeks went on, Medusa started her own narration business where each of our stories would be narrated on YouTube. In the past, this was quite a common thing to occur, to have our stories narrated, but Medusa promised us $1 per 100 views, which was by far the best offer any of us writers in the Discord group had ever received, especially considering some YouTube videos could receive 100,000 views or more. Medusa had us link her subreddit page that contained all of her YouTube links at the bottom of our stories, so our readers could access her YouTube account. All of the Discord members in the writers group would check their respective YouTube narrations, and we would all comment on how the number of views would rise each day. One of my stories was 50,000 and was continually growing. Another writer had close to 500,000 views, and we were celebrating every day knowing we were eventually going to get more and more money. Medusa had us all open a PayPal account, and we would all check it daily to see when we would receive our first payments from her. Weeks went by and we continued to send Medusa our stories, where she would narrate them, and we were all talented writers in the Discord group, so most of our stories would get well over 100,000 upvotes in the various subreddits that we posted them on. One writer in our Discord group, user 6-Headed Toad, posted a message on the Discord saying that he had received a private message from Medusa that the stipulation of our contract for the narrations was that each one of our stories we posted had to get a mandatory 1,000 upvotes, and that he was in violation for not meeting the contractual amount of upvotes. 6-Headed Toad then said, quote, "I'm being threatened that I have to personally reach out to my followers to beg for upvotes, and also, has anyone actually been paid yet?" The comment from 6-Headed Toad set off a tidal wave of other comments from writers in the Discord group, where everyone was getting pissed off because no one had actually received any money either. Also, the so-called contract was embedded in small print in the rules section of the Discord group that no one had bothered to read. 6-Headed Toad commented on our Discord group that he wasn't reaching out to any of his followers until he was paid as promised for the 6 previous stories that were narrated by Medusa, which everyone agreed was an appropriate measure. 2 days later, 6-Headed Toad posted on our Discord group that he had got suspended from his elementary school teaching job because of the bogus photos of him with an unknown underage boy. He swore that the photos were photoshopped, and he had no idea of the identity of the photographed Korean-looking boy. To make matters worse, the mother of the boy came forward to the superintendent of the school district and corroborated the story, so he'll likely face criminal charges and will be fired from his job. There was collective silence in the group because not only did we feel an eerie coincidence to Medusa's threatening towards 6-Headed Toad and his current demise, but if you listen really carefully to Medusa's narration, you can pick up on a very slight Asian accent. an action where English was her first language, but she probably also spoke an Asian language frequently at home. Based on approximately 1 in 20 of her words she spoke that would have an Asian tone to it, it kind of reminds me of the movie The Goodfellas, where you could tell the character's first language was English, but they talked with Italian slang mix. With all the stuff going on with Six-Headed Toad, Medusa sent him another private message saying that most of his recent story was still below the 1,000 upvote mark and that he needed to fix it immediately or there would be consequences. Six-Headed Toad posted that message on our Discord group in a panicked state saying, "I can't even go to the grocery store without someone calling me a pervert or something. I had no involvement in it and now I'm being threatened with consequences if I don't get more upvotes on my story. What do I do?" Everyone in our Discord group was in panic, as well as we all felt unsafe posting anything negative in our Discord group for fear of reprisals from Medusa. I could really start to see the panic in Six-Headed Toad, where he started posting messages nearly every hour on our Discord group, such as, "I reached out to all of my followers to upvote my story, but I'm still short. What do I do?" The sad part was that nobody responded back to him for fear from Medusa. So the next hour, he said he randomly gifted other Reddit users coins with a message begging them to upvote his story. By the end of the day, and spending close to $500 of his own money, he finally got the 1,000 upvotes. I could only assume that Medusa's motivation for the 1,000 upvotes was for her listeners to see, and that she only gets the best quality stories, and also to force his writers to write good quality stories. But she also is a deranged psychopath who has control issues. Six-Headed Toad's messages changed gears to him being suspended at work, to him pressuring the police to further question the unknown Korean woman and her son, who he apparently had an inappropriate relationship with based on the bogus photos. Today is Friday, and Medusa posted on the Discord group that our stories must be posted by Monday morning. The joy we all once received from entertaining our readers on Reddit has now turned into absolute fear. For we know that we have to get at least 1,000 upvotes, or Medusa will do something to terrorize us. The scariest part that we all learned from Six-Headed Toad's situation was that Medusa knows everything she needs to know about us, which includes our names, where we lived, where we worked, and our families. So we couldn't even just leave Reddit and stop writing. Monday came and we all posted our stories on our chosen subreddits. Then each of us vented on the Discord group saying things like, "My story is crap because I felt so pressured," or "I'll be lucky to get 10 upvotes." It seemed like last week we were all waiting to see how much money our narrations would bring us. But now, not only did none of us expect any money, but we were much more worried if our individual stories would get the minimal 1,000 upvotes, so we wouldn't be terrorized. So now everyone's posts on the Discord group were just for giving updates on the status of their upvotes. For some reason, the upvotes were trending to a point where they would exceed the required upvotes, but for about 2 others, they knew they were far short and were going to have to rely on some desperation tactics to gain more upvotes. Fortunately for me, I knew that I would be fine this week because I had a good quality story written about a month ago that I was holding on to, but I was more concerned about the following week. Six-Headed Toad had posted on the Discord group that the photos were taken to the police crime lab and were indeed photoshopped. Also, Six-Headed Toad said that the original Korean woman who had stepped forward had also vanished. He went on to say that the damage has already been done and he will always be labeled as a pervert in his school district, even when he gets reinstated in his job. Today is now Friday, and user Dark Knight Killers, who had only gotten 500 upvotes, posted that he returned from work yesterday and his house was burned down by a suspected arsonist. To try to keep herself safe, user Feminine Rocky had been sending random Redditors lewd photos of herself to try to garnish more upvotes because Medusa had been threatening her, but hasn't done anything drastic yet. By Friday night, Feminine Rocky have sold her soul by sending lewd photos, but she managed to get the 1,000 upvotes. She was really emotional in her Discord posting, commenting how she's married with kids and just sending photos wasn't good enough for some of the Redditors to get an upvote. So she had to do some really regrettable things just to protect her family and her job. We also received another message from Medusa saying that our stories were due on Monday. The whole week, I was working on a story about being the only passenger on a plane and landing it in an abandoned airport. It wasn't my best and it wasn't my worst, but I had hope. Everyone else on the Discord group were posting that they couldn't come up with any good stories because they were too stressed to think clearly. 6 of the Redditors on our Discord group had deleted their Reddit accounts and their Facebook accounts. After I posted my story on Monday, I tried calling each of the 6 Redditors' respective employers, where I was told each of them had abruptly quit. So I have no idea of their whereabouts or what even happened to them. The sad part is, Medusa had already found 6 new replacements for them in the Discord group, where Medusa repeated the same cycle of initially being nice and welcoming in order to gain their personal information from a new group members. Me? I have a wife and a young daughter, so I was really feeling the pressure. I have a federal job with good pay where I couldn't just run and hide somewhere. Where I work, I'm a psychologist in a federal correctional institution. A lot of my stories are derived from hallucinations that the psychiatric inmates have told me, or actual real events that the inmates have told me as well. So I have no shortage of horror stories that I have a tendency to add my own little twist to. My mindset was that I just had to do what Medusa expected of me so my daughter, Grace, could continue her happy suburban life. However, I also had to plan up my sleeve, where I was going to wait for Medusa to get sloppy and leave a clue to her actual identity, where if it was through her Discord harassment posts or through her narrations, but I was determined to find her real identity. I know Six-Headed Toad told the police about Medusa, but once he was cleared from his charges, he didn't want to pursue Medusa or the unknown Korean woman for fear of further retaliation from Medusa. So, on the top of my job, I continued to post my weekly stories where some weeks I barely came close to the 1,000 upvotes. I even sent a message to one of the new Discord writers warning her not to reveal any personal information on the Discord group, and in fact leave Reddit altogether before it was too late. But she foolishly forwarded the message to Medusa, and luckily the only thing that happened to me was my 2006 Camry was firebombed in the parking lot of my job. I figured an old car wash was much easier to replace than my house or the loss of my wife and daughter. So now I post nothing in the Discord group and I just watch these poor new writers dig their own graves. Once Medusa gets all the personal information she needs on the writers, then she'll start getting more and more evil and nonchalantly throw Six-Headed Toad or Feminine Rocky's usernames to the new members and brag about how she, quote, altered their lives. She was a true sociopath who lived off of power and fear from others. As much as I tried to post my stories on Reddit and pretend that I had never met Medusa, I found myself constantly looking at the Discord app to see if she would mistakenly post a comment that was too revealing about herself, that she was too slow to erase, or I'd listen for countless hours to her narrations for any type of background noise that she inadvertently let slip into her recordings. As the weeks went on, my wife made me go see a therapist because I, quote, looked horrible, and because I was more and more detached from her and Grace, where I never told either of them that I was being forced to write stories under the threat of physical harm. So I went to the therapist and blamed my lack of sleep and emotional detachment on a midlife crisis versus some psychopath who was trying to use me as slave labor. Ironically, I was driving home from a therapist appointment. I was painfully listening to Medusa's voice in one of her narrations when I almost slammed my car into a tree when I heard a voice that wasn't hers in the background. I knew she just posted this story, so I quickly pulled over, knowing that she would erase the story at any moment once she realized the mistake she made. I pulled over and listened over and over to their narration, and I yelled out, "I got you! I got you! You dumb witch! I got you!" Because after replaying the recording at least 10 times, I was certain that I heard the distant automated voice of a passing train say, "Temple University." I had visited Temple as a potential college when I was in high school, and I remembered hearing that voice, then taking the train to see the campus of Drexel. I figured she must have a house or an apartment in Temple's campus, and for whatever reason, she got sloppy for this narration and inadvertently let a window open or something for the train sound to be heard. Though this woman was a complete psychopath, I also knew from my years as a psychologist that she wasn't dumb, and more than likely, she probably held a faculty position at Temple. I was really fortunate that I pulled over when I did listen to the mistake in the background of the narration, because she had erased the story from YouTube no more than 5 minutes later. When I got home, I went right to Temple's website and sifted through all the women that fit the profile of Medusa, which I narrowed the candidates down to 10 potential women. Because it was 9 p.m. at night, when I attempted to call each of them, I got their voicemails, which made my job 10 times easier of trying to hear their voices. I wasn't a voice expert, but some of the women I could easily exclude based on the pitch of their voices, or more if they had a distinct accent. Then I was in total disbelief when I came to the voicemail number 7 on my list, because based on only about 20 quick words she spoke from her voice recording, I was 100% it was her, because I had listened to thousands of hours of her voice narrations where I just wanted to stick a butter knife in both my ears, but all of those painful hours of listening to her recordings had just paid off. Her name was Mary Kim, and she is an associate professor at the university. Out of all of these years, I worked as a psychologist in the prison. She wins the prize for being the biggest sociopath, where she thought she could just terrorize people under an alias of Medusa and never having shown her face, so she could hide and live a normal life. One of her students had actually posted a short YouTube video of her lecturing in front of the class, where I was even more convinced, after listening to her lecture, that she was user Medusa. The next thing I did was reach out to all of the current and past Discord group members, and I sent them the YouTube message of Professor Kim lecturing in front of the class. I learned that not one of the single Discord members went to the police, but instead took matters into their own hands, where they had each devised their own ways to torture Medusa, or who they just call Professor Kim now. Medusa, like me, just couldn't leave her job, so when she gets, quote, kidnappers for the weekend, or comes home to her apartment by the train station and finds everything missing, it's no wonder she's developed a terrible stuttering problem and probably couldn't do the YouTube narrations anymore if she tried. I'll see you soon, Medusa. I'll see you soon, Kim.